In a U.S. Marine Operations Command, they're training some soldiers, and one of them, a woman named Allison, stands out for her fighting skills, taking down a few of them. She's being watched by her Uncle Sam, the head of the U.S. Secret Service. After that, she's praised by Sergeant Ray, who quickly attacks her by surprise, showing her that she should never let her guard down. A little later, Allison meets her Uncle Sam at a bar, and he tells her she should be proud of being the first woman chosen to be part of the Marine Operations Command. Sam also mentions that Allison is in his will because he'd rather include her than some of his ex-wives. The two watch President Edwards' speech, and Allison feels like the president doesn't deserve to be where he is since he's always had everything handed to him on a silver platter. And yet he keeps giving speeches about hard work. Sam then invites Allison to join him in the Secret Service, telling her he needs someone with her skills, and she immediately accepts. The next day, on their way to the Secret Service, Allison asks how the greats handle the pressure, mentioning names like Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. Sam replies that she will also be great one day and will end up becoming a monument in Washington, D.C. herself. Meanwhile, at the White House, President Edwards is talking with his advisors about cutting oil ties with Estovia because Eastern European cartels are using it to fund terrorism. Shortly after, Allison salutes the president, but he doesn't seem to care much. Allison then asks Sam why some people don't agree with the president, but Sam replies that they're not politicians and shouldn't voice opinions on such matters. Sam briefs his agents on the president's schedule for the day. Meanwhile, Allison is there working as the donut server. One of the agents approaches her, asking her opinion on the president, but Allison responds that they should serve the office, not the man. Hearing this, the agent tells Allison that she's just like the president, getting everything handed to her. However, he's immediately interrupted by Sam's arrival. Sam praises Allison for staying silent, but she expresses her frustration at being stuck as the donut server. Sam explains that's just how it goes for rookies. At that moment, he tells Allison to go home and rest because the next day, she'll be filling in for an agent who's out sick. Meanwhile, at the Estovian base, General Rodionov watches a speech by the U.S. president, who announces he will end the oil deal with Estovia. Rodionov is holding the Estovian minister hostage, blaming him for breaking the oil agreement with the U.S. The minister pleads, claiming he didn't betray the country, but Rodionov orders the minister's execution anyway. One of the agents is driving away in his car, when he is surprised by a man who attacks him, and then he and Rodionov's team hack into the system to find the next victim, who in this case is Colonel Martinez, who is arriving home and is seized by one of the men who tells him to call and say that he won't be going on the flight because he is ill, and then eliminate him and his family before the flight. One of Rodionov's men boards the plane to plant a tracker and hide inside. As he enters, Allison is surprised by the plane's interior. Sam then informs her that two agents didn't check in, which worries Allison. However, Sam reassures her that he has another plan. When the president boards the plane, Allison salutes, but Sam reveals that the president isn't fond of formalities. Rodionov's men have already eliminated more people, and one of them is now infiltrated as the co-pilot. At this moment, the pilot tries to contact the airbase but is unable to because it has already been hacked. The co-pilot eliminates more people as well. Meanwhile, in a section of the plane, the president is holding a press conference, answering questions about the breakdown of the deal with Estovia. Sam notices something strange because he's lost internet signal. Suddenly, Rodionov's voice comes through, announcing that they've been hacked and are without cell and satellite signal, and that the airbase is tracking a phantom radar. Sam orders two agents to escort the president and tells the journalists to sit down and stay quiet. One of the journalists pretends to have asthma, just to get the gun and eliminate the agent. Sam and Allison go to a secret area of the plane to equip themselves with weapons. And meanwhile, the co-pilot announces to the president that some people are being held hostage and control of the plane is now theirs. As the co-pilot performs a maneuver on the plane, Sam gets injured. The co-pilot then announces that the president has 1 minute to join the hostages or face worse consequences. The president decides to come out with his agents, but they are suddenly eliminated by a man who arrives from behind. Still wounded, Sam tells Allison to protect the president, and that he will check on the hostages. Then the president is thrown into a room, and there Rodionov gives the president an hour to back out of the deal, and that after that he will eliminate the hostages. Then one of the men enters the room with the president, but the president decides to react and this results in a fight between the two. But the president's attempt to fight back fails, and the man manages to subdue him again. Meanwhile, outside the plane, Vice President Hansen talks with the president's advisor, Mark, expressing concern over not receiving a response to an email she sent about the agreement. Both are worried. Mark then calls to check on the air traffic situation, but he receives false information that the president is watching The Godfather with the team. Then Mark informs the vice president that everything is fine, and that makes her less worried. After one of the men leaves the room, Allison knocks on the door, and as soon as the guy answers, she goes all out. The guy pulls a knife and manages to hurt Allison, but she shows that she really is a great fighter and manages to take the knife from the guy and finish him. In the main area of the plane, Sam takes one of the men, but the guy reacts and the two start to fight. But Sam is unlucky because another guy arrives who manages to take him, and wants to know where Allison is, but Sam says he doesn't know. Allison and the president manage to get to the secret room. When the men realize that one of the companions doesn't answer, they find it strange, because they already suspect that Allison has eliminated him. Suddenly Allison hears one of the men saying that he's with her uncle, then the man shoots Sam, and Allison, already knowing what happened, gets very angry and tells the president that the two of them have to get off that plane. Then Allison acts quickly, shooting a guy, who manages to hit the president in the shoulder with a graze shot. Allison and the president manage to escape the plane using a parachute. At Andrews Air Force Base, they notice that the plane's signal has disappeared, so they call Mark, who immediately informs the vice president about the situation. In response, she wants Mark to travel to Estovia to attempt to negotiate with the Estovian president. Allison and the president go up into the forest, and when they realize that it's getting dark, Allison tells them to spend the night in the house they found. Allison breaks down the door to check that the place is empty. Moments later, Allison bandages the president's shoulder and assumes that those guys probably had help from someone close to him in order to access the plane. He replies that it could be that someone close to him has betrayed him, but at that moment he prefers not to think about it. Later, the president tells Allison that he believes Sam didn't like him very much, because he thought he had been given everything in life so easily, but Allison replies that this isn't true because Sam respected him, and after the president tells her how he worked to get to where he is now, Allison reveals that it was actually she who thought he had been handed everything on a plate, so she apologizes to him for the judgment she had made. After the conversation, Allison asks the president to sleep because the next day the two of them will leave, and she stays to keep watch. The next morning, when Allison and the president are leaving the house, she notices something strange, and then she shoots Rodanov's men. She is hit by a car, but before the guy can do anything to her, the president manages to shoot the man, but soon several criminals arrive, and this time there is nothing for them to do, and Allison and the president this time are taken captive. In the captivity, Allison and the president talk again about Sam. Allison shares that Sam taught her a lot and mentions that if Sam were in this situation, he would have come up with a plan to immediately get the president out of there. Then Rodanov and his men arrive to take the president, leaving Allison alone with one of Rodanov's men. Rodanov takes the president to his office and informs him that he will record a video announcing that he will reverse the agreement he was considering. But the president says he won't do that, and then Rodanov announces that he will torture Allison until he changes his mind. Meanwhile, in captivity, one of the men approaches Allison, and as soon as he takes off her handcuff, she goes up to him, and after she knocks him to the ground, she finishes the man with all brutality. The president then decides that he will record the video, and then two women arrive in new suits. Allison once again shows that she is a high-level agent, as she can eliminate Rodanov's men with ease. Just as the president is about to start the recording, they hear some shots, and the president says that it is Allison. And it's actually Allison who's killing some more of Rodanov's men, after which she picks up a grenade, and on her way up the stairs she's spotted by Rodanov, who orders her to be picked up. One of the men approaches, but is surprised by Allison's grenade, which knocks out the last of Rodanov's men. Then while holding the president hostage, he says he'll do anything to protect the country, and then he shoots Allison, and as he approaches to finish her off, the president shoots him, saving Allison's life once again. Allison communicates with the other American services to let them know that the president is safe. The intelligence services manage to locate the president, and then Mark arrives on the scene accompanied by some military personnel, and asks Allison to step aside so he can talk to the president. As the military personnel attend to Allison's wounds, she asks one of them if he knows a soldier who doesn't actually exist. The soldier confirms, and Allison realizes that she and the president are in a trap. She quickly reacts, taking out the military personnel, and reveals to the president why she did it, explaining that Mark isn't there to save him. Mark points the gun at the president and says that the president betrayed them, and that's why Mark went over to Rodanov's side. Allison is prepared in case Mark shoots. The president tries to convince him not to, and then Mark pretends to put the gun down when he's going to shoot. Allison acts faster, taking him down with several shots. The two arrive at the Estovia airfield. There they find a small plane, and as the president knows how to fly it, they decide to go together and return to the White House. If you liked the video and want to see more, don't forget to like it. It helps me a lot to keep bringing you quality content. And of course, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of the next videos. See you in the next video.